I know it goes without saying, but nothing will ever beat the quality of custom-made fursuits. Any fursuit maker out there, no matter what your quality is, no matter how long you've been making fursuits for, you bring the fandom to life, and we appreciate you. And the reason why I mention that is because the topic of this video, fursuits, or in this case, furry masks being made by big companies outside of the fandom. So I woke up this morning to a tweet on my feed about Spirit Halloween supposedly releasing these new animal masks that look very similar to fursuit heads, at least, you know, in the style of the eyes. I don't know if it's just me, but whenever I've seen some sort of animal mask, costume, mascot head in the past few years, it has its own unique flair to it. But this time around, the masks are looking a bit more furry than I'm used to seeing. Now, do I know if Spirit Halloween or any of these other companies went to furry for inspiration for these masks? I don't really know, and I don't really care. All sorts of arguments were being made about this, and so I want to talk about it today and give some clarification for it. Because believe it or not, this is not the first time we've had this discussion within furry, of big corporations outside of furry, or non-furry, costume-esque corporations, businesses, whatever you may have it, dipping their toes into what furry is able to make in terms of their costumes, fursuits, mascot characters, whatever it might be. Whether they're taking inspiration from furries, or trying to make their very own custom fursuit heads to tap into that market. To calm your worries about, you know, the future of the furry fandom, I think it's going to be fine. I don't think corporations are going to be taking it over, and that's also not the main argument or discussion in this video. The main point I do want to drive home about this is more so the idea of what to expect when it comes to these things being available, because we've seen it before with the Walmart masks, and they have appeared at different furry conventions and furry events, and they've been modified or customized to add your own character onto it. We've seen it for the past however many years. Believe it or not, that's how some people can get started into fursuit making. I don't know if any fursuit makers or fursuit businesses out there actually had started with these like bases from these like Walmart or Spirit Halloween animal masks that you can get, where they've customized them or refurbished them, and that's how they got their footing within fursuit making, and now they're fully fledged fursuit makers now. I don't know if that's the case, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was. But I did see this one picture sort of make its rounds on furry Twitter for the past few days. Some people upset about it, thinking, how could Spirit Halloween tap into the furry market? Seeing people like, it's not really a big deal. I mean, the only people that would wear these to furry events are like those who are new to the furry fandom, or plain and simple, kids. I do not know the steps or process on how to make a fursuit, but every single time I have seen someone try to attempt it or get into it, it is very convoluted and complicated. And especially if you want one that has the right materials and a good quality, it's gonna cost a lot of money. And then pair that with the already existing fursuit makers in the fandom currently, like the very mainstream popular ones, or those that have very unique styles that you might want applied to your character. Everyone wants, you know, their fursona to be brought to life. They're gonna want a specific style or vibe or energy brought to it. They're gonna want good quality probably with it. You want a fursuit that lasts a while and looks really, really good. You're gonna want the right colors, patterns, size, materials added into it. You're gonna want all like the workings with it. And most of these fursuits go for thousands of dollars because they're all custom made. This one was custom made, and he looks really fucking nice. Like, this isn't me flaunting like, oh, look at my good quality fursuit. No, this is like, just in general, this is a good quality fursuit. And I know a lot of people want a good quality fursuit. They want for their character brought to life in a cool way, whether it's super cutesy or super suggestive and hot or super toony, whatever it might be. Look, I can do this with my fursuit head. This is so much goddamn fun. This is give or take like thousands of dollars, ranging from like the $5,000 to $10,000 category, not just for the fursuit head, but for the body, tail, paws, and all that. We already have this sort of established culture within furry for a lot of freelance artists and creators to open for fursuit commissions to bring people's characters to life in whatever way, shape, or form. This is not an easy thing for corporations or businesses outside of furry to be able to nail. I don't see any sort of non-furry big corporation coming in, swoosing into the fandom, and making these super amazing quality fursuits that many fursuit makers have been mastering their craft for in the past however many years. It's just not going to happen. I know it's a worry that corporations may take over, but at the end of the day, I feel like furries do just like supporting their own, you know. You see a furry-owned business, you want to support a furry-owned business. We've seen this many times outside of fursuits. I don't even think many non-furry corporations are going to come close to the quality that is here. And that's even evident in the recent example with like Spirit Halloween. I don't know if they're exactly trying to tap into the furry audience or the furry market here, but you can see similarities in the style of the masks that they have to that of actual fursuits. Like with the mesh in the eyes, the sort of bright colors, the cartoony look to it all. You can see that in what they have available, I guess, for this year. So I think that's the one reason why some folks might be upset about seeing this. You know, at the end of the day, you can't really control if companies, whether they're mainstream, non-furry, or furry, try and swoosh their way in and steal like the furry market to buy their stuff. You can't control that. It might be evident in what they're trying to do. It might not be. But all you can really do is control what you really spend your money on and pay for. That's really it at the end of the day. You could be a furry and buy one of these masks, for all we know. If anything, there should be no problem with doing that either. Oh, so it's not just a fox moving mouth mask, but they have a lion moving mouth mask. Oh, and a couple of those skeleton masks. Okay, so that probably explains where all like the skeleton heads or the, what are they, raptor masks came from. I don't really know the origin of that. I just know that there was some raptor skeleton head base that a lot of people were using to custom make or paint on their own characters like colors or modify it so that it looks more like a fursuit head or at least more of a custom character, and then they'd wear that as their cosplay or fursuit during like conventions or furry events. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. There hasn't been anything wrong with that. I know some people just aren't really a fan of it in general, and that's okay, but you know, just let people have fun. That's really it. Believe it or not, these can be used as a good springboard for getting into the creative realm of furry. Specifically, if you want to get into fursuit making and you have like zero resources and like zero income or money to do so. That's what I like about these. As much as, you know, they might not be like the prettiest or cutest looking things in the world, they're obviously not going to look as good as a custom made fursuit built from the ground up. There's still a good substitute for getting into the realm of fursuit making. I don't know if that's actually been proven or not, seeing any fursuit makers now that started by modifying some of these generic ready to purchase ones from these companies, where the fursuit maker is now making their own custom heads. I'd like to hear if that's the case. If you are a fursuit maker who's done that or know someone who has, let me know in the comments. And from what I was looking up as well, from a random like refurbishment that I saw from 2017, where someone took literally a Spirit Halloween like animal mask, they modified one of these and said that, oh, I wouldn't recommend modifying or refurbishing one of these because the quality is just not great at all. It's made from like cheap plastic and could break or hurt the wearer, so like obviously tread with caution. That's like the first thing I saw when watching this video too. It's pretty funny. And again, this happened from like back in 2017 as well, so like 7-ish years later, and this is where they're at with like that whole attempt at animal mask costumes, somewhat potentially or allegedly inspired by fursuits, or just the overall idea of fursuits in the fandom. The one thing I think we all need to keep in mind about this is that these will likely be worn at furry events, whether it's at conventions or fur meets or whatever. We'll likely see people wearing these as a form of fursuiting or as a form of cosplaying. This will probably be very apparent within the younger crowd, like kids per se, or those who are new to the fandom entirely, or I guess both for that matter. Because as much as, you know, it might not be the best quality in terms of like a fursuit, it's still a readily available thing for those that might want to get into it. We've seen this before with the Walmart style fursuits, you know, those big bulbous head looking mascot heads that also led to the same discussion we're having now back then. In the end, it didn't really change anything. Some fursuit makers even went in to try and refurbish or modify some of these heads from what I saw online to apply it more to a custom character, because a lot of these are all, you know, generic animal characters. Like, this is, if you imagined a furry lion character, this is probably as generic as you would get. And then same thing with the fox, maybe like, you know, pink or like blue. I would have expected a blue fox if they were gonna go for more of a furry approach. Would have just been a blue fox with like green hair. You would have nailed pretty much most of the furry demographic if you went with that. But plain and simple, as much as these things do exist, and they probably still will, like, yeah, animal masks or animal costume heads, they're not a new profound thing. They're probably still going to exist within the catalog of Halloween spooky costumes. If anything, it's kind of flattering that this is kind of put alongside the other super scary masks as well. So like, hey, maybe furries are a nightmare and threat to most of society. I don't know. Maybe that's how normies see us. They're just terrified of us. Which, yeah, you know, within the right context, fursuits can be very creepy and scary. We all know this. Point being, I don't really see an issue with these. It's an attempt. It's not going to replace fursuit makers that already exist, that already have a huge demand within furry. Like, I know they don't look as pretty or as great or as fabulous as like a brand new Kigurumi Kagetsu suit, but like, don't bash these. That just kind of goes, you know, don't bash other people's fursuits, even if it's something like this too, you know, just like, you got to keep it in mind too. Everyone, and I do mean everyone within furry, wants a custom fursuit of their character. Like if it could be willed, if I was like a genie or something, for example, I'm like, hello, I have come to you. Would you like a custom made, completely free fursuit of your character in a quality as great as this in whatever style you would like? I can almost guarantee that 99% of furries would say yes. With no strings attached, they get their own custom character turned into a fursuit. Not everyone is going to have that feasibility of being able to acquire that. So alternatively, some folks might turn to some of these animal masks sold by these big companies. It's still a feasible option for cosplaying as an animal character, but just like, let people enjoy it. That's really it. But at the end of the day, you know, support what you want to support, but also let people have their own fun, especially if it's not bothering anyone. That's just kind of the basis of furry after all, you know. The furries mind their own business, they do their own thing, they're not bothering anyone, let them be happy. And same thing goes for folks within furry, you know. I feel like that's some lesson that can apply to many different arguments and many different drama points that happen on furry Twitter or social media in general, but hey, that'll be for a conversation for whatever the next big thing happens. But regardless, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. So on that note, thank you all for watching. Have a good one. Take care. Life stay jacket. I know I keep saying it wrong every time, but that's just how we do it here. My entire life's a mess. Have a good one. Take care, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.